With me today is Jim Southworth, who is our investigator in charge, or who we call our IIC. Now, first of all, I want to start off with the snow equipment because I was asked yesterday why it was on the track. I first want to state that it's called a snow fighter, not a snow fire. I've seen it in the press as snow fire. It's snow fighter. It was on the track to train employees in advance of the season. And they had planned to do some training for a few days. Today, we began our day at early, 7:30, 8 a.m. with an organizational meeting. And that's where all of our investigators doing all their work the day before report what they learned and what we're going to do today. At that meeting, I was able to view the inward and outward facing cameras in the cab and the inward facing cameras on the two cars. We also were able to download the event recorder. A preliminary review of the train event recorder data shows that the time of the accident was 10:31 a.m. I want to once again state this is preliminary information. The same event recorder data shows that the train struck the snow equipment at 26.9 miles per hour. 26.9 miles per hour. Now, we know that CTA's system saw the snow equipment ahead. It was supposed to be there. They knew it was going to be there. But we also know from our calculations that this train on this day was designed to stop within 1,780 feet. The design was to stop in 1,780 feet. It didn't. So now we needed to determine why. This is what took so long today. It was a very meticulous process, and I want to give a lot of credit to really great NTSB employees, a great team. We had one team that was looking at the signal system to determine if there was anything wrong with the signal system and how it communicated with the train. So they went to the bungalow to look at how that communicated with the wayside equipment and how the wayside equipment communicated with the track and how the track communicated with the train. And they determined there was not anything as of now wrong with the signal system. However, that's just preliminary information that could change. We also wondered whether it was their braking algorithm, that's CTA's braking algorithm, whether it wasn't sufficient, whether they needed a longer stopping distance. And that would mean there was a flaw in the design of the system. The third option was there was debris residue on the track, and we know there was some residue. It was thick and black, part of the track. We also know that the wheels were slipping when the operator was braking. Now, our team was able to determine that it was, in fact, a design problem. The braking distance should have been longer. A brand new system today with the same track, they should have had 2,745 feet to stop that train. 2,745 feet, not 1,780 feet. That is a design problem. And why is it different today? Over time, cars get heavier, there are more passengers, We'll have to look at some changes that have been made to the system. That's essentially an old design. So I also want to talk about reports of a warning that came, I've seen in the press, and I think I was asked about yesterday. That was not for this train. The control center told the trailing train behind the accident-involved train, which was at the Oakton station, to stop and stay there. They did not want that train to get stuck. So they told it to stop and essentially stay at the station. So this, now our folks all day did other interviews with personnel that were on the Snow Fighter, and including training personnel, but I haven't gotten a download on that yet. We were very focused on the design issue and the braking and why the train didn't stop. So this will be our last press conference. Please monitor ntsb.gov. We'll have updates. We could have updates for the investigation that we add to our website or put out through social media. So continue to monitor those. So I'm going to take questions. Yep. Name and affiliation, please.
Courtney says with NBC5. I'm wondering, do you have any immediate recommendations for CTA, and is this stopping distance an issue for any other trains that they're operating right now?
So we will have to look at that. We do know that they pulled data since November 1st, and this same situation where something was in the block ahead stopped, and there was a train approaching, occurred 50 times. That scenario. We have to see, we have to look further at what impact that would have had.
Since it is a design,
Name and affiliation.
Since it is a design problem, does that mean that line will be shut down a little longer than you guys expect?
That, will the line be shut down longer? I don't have an answer for that today. Once we complete our work and the rail cars are moved and the equipment is moved, the CTA will still have to do some testing in that area to make sure everything is safe.
And then with that braking, so is that an automated brake that conductor do everything they were supposed to in that moment to try and brake?
The conductor slowed the train. We also know the wheels were slipping from the data, which showed everything from 0 to up to 4 miles an hour, back down to 0, up to 4. So we do know that he was slowing the train to stop. Yes.
CBS 2 News. So in those other 50 instances where there was something similar, do we have any idea why this one is so different? Is it because of the slippage?
Well, I want to be careful. It was that they had looked at scenarios where there was something in the next section of track stopped and a train in the prior track. That's all they know. They know there was that scenario. They have to look a little further and do some calculations from that.
And is there anything that this conductor could have done to prevent this? Is there any way to manually override or anything if they'd known that this was ahead of them?
That's something that we'll have to look at through the investigation further.
Questions?
Yes.
I'm Courtney, NBC5. I'm wondering how long and what goes into fixing a design issue such as this one.
What goes into fixing a design issue? Again, that'll be an additional part of our investigation to determine what needs to be changed and what needs to be improved. Yes.
Jake Sheridan, Chicago Tribune. Could this system issue affect other CTA trains? And what do you say to riders who have to go get on the CTA tomorrow?
Could it affect other CTA trains? And what do I say to riders who are going on CTA tomorrow? You mean from a safety standpoint? You are much safer taking the train than driving, which is, again, annual deaths of 43,000, millions injured. You are much safer taking the train. I would take the train tonight. Tomorrow, I have no concerns, safety concerns about taking the train.
You mentioned that residue. What exactly causes the residue?
What causes the residue is the question. There could be lots of things, including residue from debris, the leaves. But we'd have to look at it a little further. But that is something, that was one of the options, so yeah.
You mentioned looking at that inward and outward camera. Did it show any distractions or anything else for the conductor or anyone?
Looking at the inward and outward camera, what I saw was at speed. What our personnel will do is they will slow it down and look at it in frames and more meticulously. So I can't answer that right now. I'll have to leave that to those who have much more professional expertise at that than I do.
But nothing obvious from what you saw. Is that-
Was there anything obvious from what I saw? No. Yes.
Again, do you expect this could affect other CTA trains? You know, when you say the word system, I wonder if that same system is on other trains.
Don't know at this time. Certainly, all the work that we're doing,
Step up.
don't know at this time. And let's remember, the work that we're doing out there in the field, we also have CTA personnel assisting us. We leverage their expertise with ours. And that's a lot of data, a lot of information. This happens very quickly and takes quite a long time to unravel. And that's what we're in the process of doing, is unraveling all this information. Is CT aware of these kinds of findings and things we're working on? Absolutely. Okay. That help you? Thank you.
And also, could you say and spell your name real quick if you don't mind?
His name is Jim Southworth, Southworth. That is actually the advantage to our party system, because they're working with us in the field and providing technical expertise. They're learning everything we are at the same time so that they can make safety change.
Last question.
And you mentioned that
Yes.
Well, this is a pretty easy one. Someone else might want to get one, but just to dot an I. 26.9 miles per hour, is that speeding or not speeding, or is that right where it should be?
It didn't stop in time, so it would be overspeed.
Okay, well, on average, how fast does a CTA train move?
Oh, a CTA train is governed, it has a speed governor of 58 miles per hour. So that's the top speed. But that's not how the speed it goes throughout the territory. There are areas that it's at 55 or 35 or 25 or 15. In this particular section, if there was no equipment there that day, the snow equipment, it would have gone from 55 to 35 to 25 to 15 to 0. But with the snow equipment, that 0 occurred much earlier, but should have maybe been even earlier.
So how fast was the train going before it got to the 26?
You're looking at the speed somewhere along that route before impact?
Yeah.
Still,
We're still looking at that. I mean, especially with the wheel slippage, it's very tough to determine speed at any point, but that's going to take longer looking at the data.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Just real quickly, you mentioned the snow fighter. Was it parked, and were there employees on it at the time before the collision?
Yeah, so there were employees, there were 2 employees at the end that was facing the train that hit, 4 at the front. And I believe it was stopped, but that's preliminary, so we will have to verify that with the control center.
And they were all off, though, at the time of the impact?
No.
Oh, they were still on. Okay.
All 6 were on.